Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is Troy, your host. We are live and recording.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are pleased and honored to begin our meeting with an invocation from Pastor Jason Van Divier. Pastor, welcome.
Heavenly Father, we just come before you this afternoon and we ask that you, Lord, we know that you have ordained government. We pray that you would be here in this time. Lord, we pray that you would work in our communities, that you would work in this county, our state, our nation, around the world. Lord, we see a world that is struggling under the weight of its sin. And Lord, we know that you will deal with that in your time. But in the meantime, Lord, you have established certain things. And one of them, Lord, is government. And we pray that you would work. We pray that you would work through leaders, that you would give us godly leaders, Lord, that they would have compassion and that they would have wisdom. Lord, that they would create an environment where your gospel is preached and where all are cared for. Lord, we pray for wisdom in every decision that they make. We pray for integrity and honesty. We pray for protection. And Lord, we ask that you would be upon, especially this time, right now, this proceeding. Lord, that you would work and that you would guide everything that is discussed and everything that is decided. Lord, we love you. And again, we look forward to your kingdom come and your will done on earth as it is in heaven. And it's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. So with that, I'll call to order our Tuesday, December 5th, 2023 business meeting. If you'll all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. Attorney Garcia, do we have certification of the agenda today?
You do, sir. The County Attorney's Office reviewed all items on the agenda, and you have appropriate jurisdiction over those items.
Thank you. And do commissioners have any disclosures for items on the agenda today?
I have none, thank you.
No, sir.
And I have none either. With that, we'll move to ceremonies and proclamations. Really pleased to begin with a resolution proclaiming Colorado Gives Day on December 5th. Kim Smith from Community Resource Programming presenting for staff. Hi, Kim.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. The request before you today is to approve the resolution proclaiming December 5th, 2023 as Colorado Gives Day in Douglas County. Colorado Gives Day is a statewide celebration of philanthropy and highlights the importance of giving to local organizations. Douglas County Community Foundation sponsors Colorado Gives Day locally through the Douglas County Gives program to increase awareness of nonprofit organizations located in the county. Donations support local nonprofits and informs residents of community needs that are often unnoticed. The Community Foundation partners with local nonprofits to build organizational capacity and support their efforts to improve the quality of life in Douglas County. Staff recommends approval of the resolution proclaiming December 5th, 2023 as Colorado Gives Day in Douglas County, as it complies with all county approval standards and policies. This concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Mike Wade, the Executive Director of Douglas County Community Foundation, is here to provide a few comments and to read the resolution.
Wonderful. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. Happy Colorado Gives Day to the three of you. I'm excited to be here today, joined with members of our Board of Directors and some members of our nonprofit community here in Douglas County. Please raise your hands if you're here. Wonderful, wonderful. As you guys know, I like 2 to 3 hour long speeches, so hold on, because I'm going to really push that boundary today. Just kidding. We're not going to do that. But I do want to remind you guys of the importance of 2 things. Both of them that you are very, very aware of. One of them that we all practice quite a bit is the importance of shopping locally, right? Spending your money as close to home as possible. We all know that when you spend your money close to home in locally owned businesses, about 2/3 of that money stays in your community. And in fact, that's something I've seen all three of you push throughout the years, is the importance of spending your money locally. Well, here at Douglas County Community Foundation, especially on Colorado Gives Day, we embrace the concept of giving locally as well, of giving where you live. The importance of supporting those nonprofit organizations who are making our communities great and supporting them with your philanthropy, with your dollars locally. That's one of the 4 charges that Douglas County Community Foundation has. We are the regional champion for Colorado Gives Day, so we're here to not only help support our nonprofit partners in Douglas County, but also help convince and show the citizens of Douglas County the importance of giving where you live. As a reminder, here in Douglas County, we're blessed to have over 350 active nonprofit organizations, one of the highest concentrations of nonprofits per capita in the nation. Basically, at the end of the day, if there is a cause that matters to you, there is an organization, a nonprofit here in Douglas County who supports that cause and works to make our community great. So today on Douglas County Gives Day, it's more than just talking about how important it is to support your locally owned and locally operated nonprofit organizations, but to promote the importance of philanthropy in all senses of the word. And that's what we do. I'm sure you guys have seen that we partner every year with Colorado Community Media, and they send out our annual giving guide to all of the homes in Douglas County that they serve. This is just an example of one of the tools that we provide to our nonprofit partners at no cost to them. This is how we help give back here locally. And I will say, before I read the proclamation, I did pull up our exact totals as of this moment. And so far today, on Colorado Gives Day, Douglas County nonprofits have raised $836,461, which is more than we had last year at this time. So if you would please join me in giving a round of applause to those organizations and the people who are supporting them right now. Now with that, I will be the old man and pull out my glasses because I cannot read the proclamation without it. So if it pleases the commissioners, I would like to go ahead and read this proclamation for you guys today. It's a resolution in support of Colorado Gives Day in Douglas County on December 5th, 2023, as promoted by Douglas County Community Foundation. Whereas Douglas County Community Foundation is dedicated to serving emergency needs and supporting local nonprofits, and whereas Douglas County Community Foundation is focused on improving the quality of life for Douglas County citizens. And whereas Douglas County gives a program of Douglas County Community Foundation was created to increase awareness of nonprofit organizations located right here in Douglas County. And whereas Douglas County Community Foundation is partnered with the Community First Foundation, who is now called the Colorado Gives Foundation, to help expand the Colorado Gives Day movement throughout the state as a regional champion. And whereas Colorado Gives Day is an annual statewide movement to celebrate philanthropy and increase online giving. And whereas Colorado Gives Day is the largest day of philanthropic giving in the state. And whereas Coloradans are encouraged to participate in Colorado Gives Day because all donations make a difference to nonprofits working to improve the quality of life in our communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Douglas County supports local philanthropic giving and proclaims December 5th, 2023 as Colorado Gives Day in Douglas County. Again, thank you for the opportunity to be here in front of you, and thank you for your support over the years and all that you do to help keep Douglas County great. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, Mike, not only have you been a prolific community servant as the former mayor of Parker, but your work as the director of our community foundation has just been incredible. We frequently say that year over year we've seen exponential growth in giving, and that's due in no small part to your work and the work of many who are here and online today working for the community foundation. So thank you for that. That is the true work of the county that is so important to us. Let me open it up for any questions or comments from my colleagues.
I have none right now, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Teal.
I have no questions, but great job, Mike. Your leadership with the Community Foundation has been fantastic. The results show, and so keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. And just in this time frame, $3 more thousand have come in, so let's keep it rolling.
Oh my goodness, that's wonderful. Great work. Yes. Any citizen comment, either in person or online, with regard to this item?
I have no online comments, sir.
Okay, and with that, I'll close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for any further discussion and/or a motion.
So I just will make a couple of comments. I came down a little early to clear out my emails, and I had 72 emails. And guess how many of them were for nonprofits saying it's Colorado Gives Day, give to us. Probably 70 of them. So the word is out. People know that it's the time of giving, and it can start now. I was at a fundraiser last night for Hope and Health Center. This really is the time for us to open up our wallets and our hearts for those who need, because there is a lot of need right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. So with that, do we have a motion?
Please, the board, I do have a motion to approve a resolution proclaiming Colorado Gives Day on December 5th.
Second.
So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries 3-0. Thank you very much for being here. So our next item under ceremonies and proclamations is a resolution expressing our unequivocal support for Israel's goal of destroying Hamas and encouraging Colorado's congressional delegation to oppose any efforts to force Israel into a ceasefire. That comes from the Board of County Commissioners. Commissioners?
Thank you. I was reached out to by a resident and asked to present this. And this really is the kind of job that we all provide to our residents, to you, which is representative government. So this is the resolution that was forwarded to me by a resident, and I support this. So I'm going to read this resolution that we are addressing here today. This is a resolution expressing our unequivocal support for Israel's goal of destroying Hamas and encouraging Colorado's congressional delegation to oppose any efforts to force Israel into a ceasefire. Whereas on October 7th, the terrorist organization Hamas attacked Israel and brutally murdered more than 1,400 people. And whereas this is the fourth time Israel has been attacked by Arab states and or terror organizations since 1947, when the UN voted to divide the land then called Palestine into a Jewish and a Palestinian state. And whereas prior to 1947, there had never been an Arab or Palestinian or Muslim state in the geographic area now known as Israel. And whereas Israel is the third Jewish state to exist in the geographic area beginning 3,000 years ago, and whereas it is clear Israel cannot live in peace with the constant threat on its border of a terrorist organization dedicated to its destruction, and whereas the motto of this terrorist organization is, "We love death as much as Jews love life." And whereas after Israel responded to the Hamas terrorist attack by vowing to totally destroy the organization, indoctrinated college students and left-wing radicals worldwide started demanding a ceasefire that would only aid and abet crimes against Israel and the people of Gaza by giving it time to regroup and rearm. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Douglas, Colorado, does hereby express our unequivocal support for Israel's goal of totally destroying Hamas, and we encourage Colorado's entire congressional delegation to also vigorously oppose any efforts to force Israel into a ceasefire or a pause that does not comport with that goal. Passed and adopted this 5th day of December 2023 in Castle Rock, Douglas County, Colorado.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Any questions or discussion from the board?
I agree.
And I would say I agree as well. No doubt the atrocities that are occurring abroad are horrific, and we are unequivocally in support of Israel and their peacekeeping efforts throughout their region. So I appreciate this being brought forward. Let me ask if there are any questions or comments from citizens in the room with regard to this item. Yes, ma'am. And if you want to just state your name and where you're from for the record, the podium's right here. Sure, thank you.
My name is Leslie Hansen. I would just add to the resolution specifically that you condemn the horrific violence against women. We've seen the systematic rape and torture of women and children, and I think the violence against the Israeli women should be specifically noted.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any additional citizen comment? Okay, any citizen comment online?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Okay, and with that, I'll close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for any further discussion and or a motion.
I would just like to address the comment that we heard, because I think that is what has really touched my heart in watching the news and seeing what has happened, is that it is the most vulnerable in Israel that have been attacked and tortured. So thank you for that comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Commissioner Teal?
No additional comment.
Okay. Well, I would add to that. I think the horrific violence and the inhumane atrocities occurring toward innocent civilians, particularly women, particularly children, is just, it's detestable. And I'm really proud to live in a county where we do not abide by such atrocities. And, we did have a conversation with our federal lobbyist the other day who said that, Douglas County doesn't really have a role in this. And I tend to agree. I don't believe in political grandstanding, but I think this is significant. And I think for those in our community that are members of vulnerable populations, or frankly are members of the Jewish community, they need to hear our support. So I'm pleased to be in support of this resolution.
Thank you. I do have a motion to approve.
Oh, and ma'am, we did close citizen comment. Yeah, well, we'll reopen it for the next item. Yes, ma'am.
I have a motion to approve a resolution expressing our unequivocal support for Israel's goal of destroying Hamas and encouraging Colorado's congressional delegation to oppose any efforts to force Israel into a ceasefire.
Second.
So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries. So with that, we'll move to item 3, which is our consent agenda. And let me just ask, is there any citizen comment with regard to any item on our consent agenda? Okay, do we have any citizen comment online?
And I have no online comment, sir.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I'll close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for any further discussion and or a motion.
If it please the board, I do have a motion to approve all requests and all items A through X on the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a first and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries 3-0. With that, we'll move to item 4, which is our regular agenda. And the first item under our regular agenda is a contract with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Arapahoe Douglas Counties, NAMI ADCO, beneficiary of Douglas County ARPA Suicide Prevention Grant funding in the amount of $226,378. Laura Cinconi presenting for staff.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. At this time, the board has indicated interest in dispersing $1.5 million of Douglas County's American Rescue Plan Act allocation over a 3-year period for suicide prevention. Approximately $1.37 million is currently allocated to 7 community-based organizations and nonprofits, with the remaining $127,000 retained for men's mental health and veterans' mental health. NAMI ADCO was recommended as a beneficiary of ARPA suicide prevention funding at a total of $347,101 over 2 years to develop a digital marketplace of resources and educational materials for youth and families across the continuum of care, from prevention to treatment and recovery. The board approved $120,723 for 2023 activities, which has been spent in full by NAMI ADCO this year. And staff recommends NAMI ADCO for an additional $226,378 in 2024. NAMI ADCO is a nonprofit organization which has provided education, support, and advocacy for people whose lives are impacted by mental illness for over 30 years in this area. NAMI ADCO's proposal addresses an ongoing desire expressed by Douglas County communities, youth and adults alike, to know what resources are available and how to access them. NAMI ADCO will assess a community needs, current resources, barriers to accessing support and care as part of this marketplace design. And ultimately, the marketplace will hold a 24/7, 365 available comprehensive resource network with information to empower users to increase self-awareness, knowledge of mental health conditions, and access self-management tools as well as professional mental health support and services. Youth have been offering their voice throughout the development to ensure the platform reflects how they want to address their unique needs. In 2023, NAMI ADCO assembled a clinical research team, which includes a licensed clinical social worker, licensed professional counselor, and a master's of social work professional who have been identifying, researching, and vetting resources using a standardized vetting process for the digital marketplace. This standardized process is ensuring quality control and consistency among the listed resources and identifies a primary point of contact at each of those resource organizations. To date, over 200 youth and family resources have been identified across the continuum of support, care, and recovery. NAMI ADCO has been maintaining ongoing and direct engagement with local youth in Douglas County who have been helping to validate the project's direction since inception. NAMI ADCO leaders have been attendees at this year's Douglas County Youth Initiative Youth Congress and have also engaged with the Aspen Effects Youth Council. The Aspen Effect is another recipient of grant funding through this opportunity at the county and works on building youth resilience and leadership skills. Funding in 2024 will maintain the staff that I just described, as well as others, to drive development and implementation of the digital marketplace, including identifying and vetting new resources, executing MOUs with community services that will be incorporated in the digital marketplace. NAMI is also in the process of developing a structure to collect and analyze utilization, customer satisfaction, and engagement data with the digital marketplace, which they'll be collecting throughout 2024 and using it to make continuous improvements to the platform. They are also planning a significant marketing effort to include campaign awareness videos, social media promotion, and although not funded by this grant, have launched a 13-episode podcast with topics driven by youth input and interest, which will also be a vehicle to advertise the marketplace. In closing, NAMI ADCO has demonstrated over the course of their contract this year responsive invoicing and reporting requirements, and they have spent their full allotment during the term and have made good progress on their 2023 work plan that will allow them to launch the marketplace as soon as the end of Q1 2024. And then the remainder of 2024 will be evaluating the platform, tweaking it based on their data, adding in additional resources, and pushing their marketing campaign. The recommendation of staff today is to approve the 2024 contract with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Arapahoe, Douglas counties. And we have President and CEO of NAMI ADCO in the audience to share additional information if needed, answer questions. as well as Amy Staley, board member and programs coordinator with NAMI ADCO, joining online. That concludes my presentation.
Great, Laura, thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura. Commissioners, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. When we met earlier this year, we were excited about the opportunity to bring this digital youth marketplace to Douglas County. This work is built on efforts that we've been working on for about the last 5 years, which include really understanding the youth voice. First and foremost, this was always intended as a for youth by youth initiative. And what we recognized in doing our community survey for you all earlier this year is you can't have the youth voice represented unless you're also including families. So when we wrote this grant, we really wanted to include the wraparound care of support for youth and families. And as Laura mentioned, we have made phenomenal progress quickly, but it is built upon the fact that we've been doing 5 years worth of work to validate the direction that we're going, and of course built a similar tool for other audiences, specifically emergency responders in another nonprofit organization that I've served in. The exciting thing about this is we intended to have about 100 resources on the marketplace whenever we launched. We so far have identified more than 200. We are about 90% through our vetting process of those and categorizing them from everything from self-management resources all the way through crisis resources across the continuum of care. And our goal is, without any delay, we will launch at the beginning of first quarter or the end of first quarter in 2024. That then gives us the remainder of the year to really validate the work that we've done. As Laura mentioned, we also have a podcast series that has similar branding that is having these conversations specifically for parents, educators, administrators, professionals that are really wanting to serve youth in today's world around these sensitive topics we know that they're struggling with. I will just say, in 6 weeks' time since we launched, we have made over 1.5 million impressions with that podcast series and are having phenomenal response. And that was done intentionally, knowing 6 months later we would be launching the marketplace with similar branding. So we will have cultivated a warm audience in the metro area that is specifically serving families and youth in Douglas counties, and will have incredible data. Laura touched on a minute ago that we are focused on data and evaluation. We have actually built a dashboard, which has been part of our initiative with funding this fall, that will measure every single paid and organic reach opportunity we have across a continuum of platforms, which I will ring my own bell here for a second. The dashboard is phenomenal. The data we are empowered with is phenomenal. It is very granular. It tells us demographics data that we want. It tells us the areas and geography by cities of where these the users or people who are engaged with it are coming from, the types of devices they use, and so on. From my estimation, and doing this work a long time in the research that we've done, there is no other tool out there that currently exists that has approached this in the way that we do. Ours is topic-centric and specific to the needs of youth today, based and validated by things that they're struggling with. And really what we've intended to do with the marketplace is make a very easy, as few clicks as possible to get people connected to resources, because I think many of us can agree finding resources when you're struggling can often be too hard and people don't know where to begin. And we aim to be the hub of those resources and the voice for people that are struggling with mental health. So I just want to thank you all for your funding and for giving us this tremendous opportunity for us to serve Douglas County residents in a way that I think is going to have a considerable impact for a long time to come.
Well, thank you for your incredible work on behalf of our citizens in the realm of mental health. It is just phenomenal work. Any questions for staff or for NAMI?
This isn't really a question, this is a thank you. When I retired from the State Patrol, I got a contract with the State Health Department researching every homicide and suicide that happened in the state for 7 years for the National Violent Death Reporting System. And I had spent 26 years trying to keep people safe on the road. And when I learned that we have 2 times more people who take their lives than die in car crashes, I was shocked. That really began my journey on figuring out, why are people taking their lives? And what can we do to give people hope so they don't end their life, which causes so many other ripple effects with the family they leave behind. And then as the county coroner for 4 years, I sat in kitchens with families who'd lost loved ones. And probably the hardest homes I sat in were with families who'd lost a child. And I've been working with NAMI then, and what you just talked about with your podcast and that you've had 1 million impressions, there's no way to measure prevention to know what we have done, what you have done to save a life. But this is so encouraging. The mental health program, the mental health initiative that we have in Douglas County that launched in 2017 is unmatched by any other government in this state. I wonder about even in this country, because we care deeply about our residents, and that's why Laura and Maggie and Leandra and Barbara have built a coalition of over 50 partners. So we're all working together, reaching out at the same time to people. So these are one of these grants that I just really support because it is making a difference across our community. So thank you for you and your organization for what you do for our residents.
Thank you. I appreciate your compliments or your comments. It gives me chills to think about it. And I, too, in the 12 years that I've been doing this work committedly, have been around many of those same tables having those conversations. And when we were encouraged to apply for this grant, what I specifically loved about the word in the grant is prevention. You know, to your point, we don't know what we're doing and how it may prevent something bad from happening. But I think you all have had the forward thinking to allow us the opportunity to figure out if we can do things proactively to lead us to prevention efforts that reduce suicide. So from my perspective, our initiative is hopeful, it is helpful, it is healing. I don't think I shared with you guys the name of the podcast series is Nobody's Perfect. The marketplace will be the same branding. And really, we were so intentional in validating with that with youth. I think we recognized, I did a podcast series from 2019 to 2021 through Bonneville Media called Teen Talk After a Rash of Youth Suicides. And what I learned from talking with youth was the power and the value of the voice that they had and were willing to share with us in ways that adults will not. And I really took from those conversations many things, but specifically, there's a thread of perfectionism that runs through all of us, not just youth, about our need to show up and be perfect or to do things perfectly. So when we chose that branding, Nobody's Perfect, it was very intentional around nobody actually implies everybody. So what we're building is a community of support, not only for youth, but for families and caregivers and providers and educators, where everybody has a seat at the table. And I think that's what's so important, that we build upon that and then we add to that an easy to use marketplace that is designed by topics that people are seeking, that they're searching for, and really recognizing that your forward thinking and granting of resources has really allowed us to move forward into that word prevention to hopefully make a difference in the outcomes we see as we all move forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Teal?
Well, I have no questions. It sounds great. Thanks so much for being here to fill us in and put this money to good work.
Happy to do so. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. Do we have any citizen comment with regard to this item? Any citizen comment? Yes, ma'am.
So, you know, our youth the whole world has changed for me. So I spent 10 years in bed from pretty much 2010 to 2018, and came into Facebook in a gross world I couldn't even comprehend. I didn't even see any of this. So when he presented it like that, and I have seen the youth, and I kind of resisted all this technology, but what a flood of information to these kids that sometimes don't want to speak. And how beautiful, because I remember going into a library looking, and National Alliance for the Mental Illness has existed for a long time. And so I researched in books and in libraries. I had to look in, those Dewey Decimal Systems, and how beautiful for our youth to open up a really, their health, and not their illness, but their health of achieving, almost like striving for the victory in a Olympic team or a basketball championship. Same thing. It's the same thing with our health. It's achieving good health, and it takes work, and it takes discipline, just like playing football or soccer or basketball or singing well or playing the guitar. Our health is comprehensive, and I talked to Steve, Maggie, and Barbara. I'm sorry, I thought I'd see her here, I don't. And we had a conversation, we had lunch last week, and I told you I'd report on that. How beautiful just to be human and to know that what we're seeing and in the Hamas are pretty evil people. I mean, if you have read what they just put out today, it's more than an atrocity. They have women coming in their underwear and decapitated genitals and all kinds of, like just grossness. And I will say it that much because it's right in front of our faces. And I think that's a simple expression of a war I see in the world. And it starts again with our hearts and our opening our mouths and sharing our lives in the most human, real way. And we all live humanity. And if we aren't, then we're looking at Israel and Hamas and the grossness and the evilness that our children should not even have to face. I have some of my beautiful 3 children. I thank God for what they stand for. And my father taught them early in their age. My son could sing the national anthem at 3, and now they're in the U.S. Air Force together, chaplain and top U.S. pilot fighter, and they believe in freedom, and I do too, and it's worth fighting for. And it's worth opening our mouths and letting our children explore what it means to have freedom of expression with their emotions and achieve good mental health, like a victory in the Olympics, soccer game, football, women and men, children, all of us, boys and girls. And I thank God for my freedom.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your comments. Additional citizen comment? Okay, any citizen comment online?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I'll close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for any further discussion and or a motion.
I have a motion to approve a contract with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Arapahoe Douglas Counties, NAMI ADCO, beneficiary of Douglas County ARPA Suicide Prevention Grant funding in the amount of $226,378.
Second.
So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries. With that, we'll move on to our next item on our regular agenda, which is the Larkspur, Colorado Front Range Trail Intergovernmental Agreement in the amount of $30,000. And we have Dan Dirtz, or maybe Andy Howe today, providing. Thank you very much. Andy?
Thank you, Commissioners. Andy Howe presenting for Open Space and Natural Resources staff. We got this going. Okay, there we go. Sorry, getting some coaching on the equipment here. There we go. Thank you. This is the wrong presentation.
Andy is a fellow officer of the United States Army, veteran. I'm so terribly tempted to give you a little bit of grief right now. But I won't.
All right, now that we're on the right presentation.
Thank goodness, as I was about to start laying into Dan and giving him grief for being a Navy guy. Thank God we're spared of that.
Once again, Andy Howe from Open Space and Natural Resources staff. The request before you today is the approval of the intergovernmental agreement between Douglas County and the town of Larkspur to complete the Larkspur portion of the Colorado Front Range Trail. The vicinity is within the town limits of Larkspur and southern Douglas County along East Plum Creek and the I-25 corridor. Background on this, the Colorado Front Range Trail exists from north of Denver down the Cherry Creek Trail through Parker, from Franktown over to Castle Rock, and then south to Lowell Ranch. Small gap we pick up again at Columbine Open Space all the way to the northern end of Larkspur. There's a gap through the town of Larkspur currently. Picks up again at the Frink Creamery on the south side of Larkspur, continues to County Line Road on the south end of Douglas County, and without gap continues on into El Paso County, and you can get all the way down to Fountain, Colorado on that trail with only a few gaps. This map shows the entire Colorado Front Range Trail system that was conceived of in the 90s. You can see, I know it's kind of busy and very zoomed out because we're showing the entire length of the state of Colorado. But you can see trail segments all the way north of Denver, again picking up down there in the Parker area, down through Castle Rock. Again, with the red arrow, we're highlighting the Larkspur portion of the Front Range Trail, in which we're discussing today. Continues on down to Colorado Springs Fountain, and there's portions of it even south of Pueblo. Zooming into the southern I-25 portion of this segment here, on the north end, we've got the Columbine Open Space with that loop and the kind of the sage green color. Continue on down to the county line at the south and the Greenland Open Space area. The red arrow indicates, in the purple trail segment there, indicates the missing gap for a mile through the town of Larkspur. This project will complete a 12-mile trail segment from Columbine Open Space to the southern county line, and again, connecting into the El Paso Trail county trail system. With completion of this segment, we'll be only 3 parcels away from connecting from the north end of this map all the way up into Castle Rock as well. What are the benefits of this IGA? It'll complete the Larkspur portion of the Colorado Front Range Trail. Again, connects a 12-mile stretch in southern Douglas County. Douglas County will construct the northern half or half mile of that Larkspur portion. Larkspur will complete the southern half through their town park and down to Frink Creamery. Douglas County will receive an easement from the town of Larkspur for long-term access throughout that trail segment. The cost of this project is going to decrease from over $1 million to about $30,000. And the main reason for that decrease is the elimination of 2 bridges and the associated hydrology, engineering, permitting, and not to mention the structures themselves that are not required. The reason for this is a blow-up of a portion of this trail through the town of Larkspur, and indicated by the red arrow there is a private parcel. And without access through this parcel, we would have had to jump to the east side of East Plum Creek, requiring a bridge crossing to get over and a bridge crossing to get back. Because Mayor West and her team were able to negotiate an easement with open space investors, we were able to eliminate both of these bridge crossings, the associated environmental impacts, all the engineering and hydrology and everything like that, saving, again, in the neighborhood of $1 million. So we thank Mayor West and her team for securing that. And at this point, I would like to call Mayor West up to the podium and offer her a chance to provide her input from Larkspur's perspective.
Wonderful. Thank you, Andy. Welcome, Mayor West.
Well, thank you, Board of County Commissioners. I'm very pleased to be able to be here today. I am Sherilyn West, the mayor of the town of Larkspur, and I've lived in Larkspur for almost 32 years. And for as long as I can remember, we have been trying to bring this section of the Front Range Trail to fruition. We've done studies, we've applied for grants, we've had different alignments, different designs, and we just never got any traction. And we finally realized that we just didn't have the resources, the funding, or the ability to really tackle this. And that is when, I went to the county and said, hey, we're just kind of at a loss here. What can we do? We want to make this happen. The county makes it happen.
Apologies. Chair, my wife was struck while driving on our commute yesterday. I've just received a phone call on that matter. May I please be excused?
Yes, absolutely.
Mayor, excuse me. I'm so sorry.
It's perfectly all right. I understand.
I am in favor, though.
Thank you, Commissioner Teal. Mayor West?
Okay. And so I was very pleased and proud of the county when they came and offered to come alongside us and help us complete this project. And I think it's going to be a great accomplishment for the entire county to have this section of the trail complete. Want to extend my thanks to the owners of OSI, Office Space Investors, for granting us the easement through the backside of their property so we didn't have to put in bridges. And so today, I'm here to ask you, the Board of County Commissioners, to consider the approval of the IGA for the construction, use, and maintenance of the Larkspur section of the Colorado Front Range Trail.
Great, thank you, Mayor. Any questions for staff or Mayor West?
Mayor West, I just want to thank you for everything that you do for our great big county. You have a little tiny municipality, but I know that you know everything that's going on. You even chase chickens, as we well know. So thank you for negotiating this deal that saved our community so much money. And it will create such a great benefit for us. So thank you for what you do for all of us.
Thank you very much.
Well, I would just echo those sentiments. We regularly have lunches with our mayors, and Sherilyn West, I think, has almost perfect attendance at all of those lunches. You always engage with us and make sure that you're involved in our community. Harkening back to when you were babysitting my kids at Cherry Hills Community Church in daycare. So you have been around for a long time serving the public, so we really appreciate you. Let me open it up for any citizen comment. Is there any citizen comment in the room with regard to this item? Yes, ma'am. No comment. Okay. Let me open it up for any comment online.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I'll close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for any further discussion and or a motion.
I have a motion to approve the Larkspur, Colorado Front Range Trail intergovernmental agreement in the amount of $30,000.
And I will second that. Any further discussion?
I have none, thank you.
Neither do I. Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that passes 2-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you very much. So with that, we'll move to citizen comment organization comments. At this time, you are welcome to comment about any topic other than those that appeared on today's agenda. This is an opportunity to share your thoughts and ideas with us. Please state your name and where you reside prior to making comments. You will have up to 3 minutes. Commissioner comments, if any, will follow all citizen comment. I will remind everybody that's commenting today that we will maintain order within this hearing room and that it is a requirement that you follow order. We are going to follow CRS 18.9-110, which does require folks to participate consistent with our government rules. Again, you have 3 minutes apiece. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the ability to comment. My name is Cynthia Dalton, and I live in Lone Tree. You may be tired of seeing me, and I'm tired of coming. This is the 5th time I have come to complain about your egregious behavior to Laura Thomas. You seem to have forgotten who you work for. You were elected and work for the citizens, not the other way around. But you have made no changes in your behavior. It seems like a deliberate attempt to get Laura to quit. Well, I know Laura, and she's not quitting. And she is the most competent one of you, and you know it. Today, to refute your insulting claim that Laura was behind my previous appearances, I have invited other DUGCO voters to join me in voicing their opinions. My demand today is that you quit the libelous postcards, reinstate Laura's county credit card, reimburse her, reinstate her to chair and committee positions, and quit the crazy and disingenuous lawsuits. But before I turn this over, I would like to ask one question. This comment is specifically directed to George, and I'm really sorry about his family accident.
I just want to note that this has happened before, where George has been called out during comments. And my comment was this: are you, George, or any of your family responsible for the obscene, slanderous postcards sent out to defame Laura? Today, George, if you refuse to respond or you leave the meeting, we're going to assume the answer is yes, and that you and your family are indeed responsible. Finally, in the words of the Old Testament prophet Micah, he asks, what is it that the Lord requires? Do justly, act kindly, and humble. Micah 6:8. You have not been just, kind, or humble. Instead, you have been unjust, unethical, cruel, and arrogant with questionable motives. It would be wise for you to change your heart, ask for forgiveness, and transform your actions. Thank you, and now I turn it to other fellow citizens.
Thank you, ma'am. Further citizen comment?
Good afternoon. My name is Marlise, and I'm here on behalf of Rance Massey, who's unable to attend personally due to health conditions. He asked me to read his comments. I'll try to get through this as quickly as I can. Number one, to me it looks like Commissioners Teal and Layden are trying to force Commissioner Thomas to resign. I do not support your campaigns and elect you both to participate in this type of action. How does this benefit the taxpayers of Douglas County? Number two, based on words in the Voice newspaper, it feels like a hostile working environment has been established in the Commissioner's office. Number three, will you tell the taxpayers the reason for removing the credit card and expenses from Commissioner Thomas while you two continue to use and expend as allowed for related costs? This feels like a double standard exists. Number four, will you tell us why Commissioner Thomas was removed from the boards that she served on for years and how removing her benefits the county and us? From here, it feels like Commissioner Thomas has had her civil rights violated. I hope this is not the case. How did Commissioner Layden access over $17,000 in Douglas County funds without a majority rule? If Commissioner Layden approved these funds, he did so breaking their own commissioner rules because Commissioner Layden would have to recuse himself on this funding of his own expenditures. So one commissioner cannot vote an appropriation because it takes 2 votes to make a decision. Matter of record, was Commissioner Thomas asked to vote on this issue? Number 7, a very old resident of Douglas County, I have never been involved in politics here, but if you two commissioners don't cease, I will throw all my might against you both. I'm old enough that it does matter to me, and you both appear to be very wrong. In closing, I don't always agree with Commissioner Thomas, which is the way it's supposed to be in America. And that concludes my reading.
Thank you, ma'am, for that additional citizen comment.
My name is Doug Schul. I live at 22 Higher Lane in Douglas County. I've lived in Douglas County since 1982, and I have never seen a more convoluted group of local governors that I've seen with this group. I believe in a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. I do not believe there is any room for loyalty in politics. The commissioners are elected to make decisions for the people, for all the people, and I have seen the public video of Commissioner Layden scolding Commissioner Thomas for not being a loyal member of the board of Douglas County. I was embarrassed and I was angered. I think both Commissioner Teal and Layden need to grow up and allow Commissioner Thomas her constitutional freedoms in her elected position to make decisions for the people she represents. Yet you two continue to tie her hands and undermine her at every juncture. give back her credit card, lift her censorship. She has been vindicated in all respects. Pay her legal bills that you caused. She is loyal only to the people that elected her, and she was elected by the people, not you two. You two merely are a couple of bullies, big bullies, and now you have cost the taxpayers another $26,000 in legal fees to fight with Thomas. I'm sure you know what our society does with bullies these days. They get eradicated, chastised, and in your case, get voted out. You are merely temporary employees. I'm also still angered at the way the commissioners Teal and Layton spent $1 million of taxpayer money to install a low-grade metal detector in STEM school that had already been involved in a school shooting that resulted in loss of life, thus putting our children at risk without a mandated RFP or public input. This stinks to high heaven. And people still complain to me, money under the table, money walks and BS talks. For these reasons and more, I think you, Commissioner Teal and Commissioner Layton, are unfit for duty and should resign your positions. Thank you.
So I'm going to address some of these comments. I'm going to take a moment here. So let's be really clear. No, you can have a seat, sir, and I'm aware that you are a contractor that is also looking for funding from this government to support the defense systems that you are advocating for. You've been before us advocating for that. So let me be really clear, because a lot of times, and I feel a great deal of compassion and sympathy for everyone in this room, because I work for the citizens, not the other way around, and for you to be called here and gaslit and told a lie is really, really disconcerting. So for 6 years, I have heard not just from 4 or 5, but from thousands a year. I represent nearly 400,000 people. That unfortunately, although we would love to have a phenomenal third colleague, we have a reckless agitator. I hear that not only from the public, I hear that from our staff. I hear that from our women staff regularly. There was an event called Women Who Soar just a matter of weeks ago, where there were a number of women staff invited to that event who afterward told me that Commissioner Thomas made such a ruckus at Women Who Soar, they will never attend that event again. Our women staff are being marginalized. In the meantime, at State of the County, we have actually acknowledged the phenomenal women leaders in our community, including Barbara Drake, who's here with us today. She's served in a remarkable capacity for 30 years. Incredibly strong, incredibly firm, incredibly opinionated, and doing a great job. Supporting a reckless agitator that does not represent the county well in public is not something that I am interested in funding or that the community is interested in funding, and I hear that on a regular basis. We know that Commissioner Thomas has denied leaking documents to the press that were confidential in nature. We also know that she has disparaged our local men and women in blue at a political assembly for her benefit. In addition to that, we know that she has also harassed and ridiculed a member and colleague who was battling cancer at a CCI event. Somebody that was struggling from this dais to just maintain their health, she was ridiculing at a CCI event. These are just a couple examples where we are regularly seeing challenges with this third commissioner. Now, I support strong women. My daughter, who's 17, is an incredibly strong female. We support strong females all the time. But what I will say is that being female and supporting females doesn't give you a hall pass. And pulling the women card in order to misbehave is not pro-female, and it undermines the work of the great women in our community and our staff. And I hear that from our female staff. So I'll share that and probably a little bit more, but with that, let's continue citizen comment. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I have to respond to that, Dave. Is it okay? Absolutely. Like, I just don't start my 3 minutes. You should hear, you've kicked me out of here before. You should hear what the police officers say about you personally. Okay? So, I wish George was here. We all know it was a scam. We all know he left. He's a coward. Half the time he shrinks his head down there so we can't even see his face. But, you always talk about you were going after Commissioner Thomas because of conduct unbecoming. I looked up the Uniform Code of Military Justice, Article 133, of what conduct unbecoming is. There's eight things they look for. I'm just going to talk about a few of them. One of them goes to Teal, knowingly lying on an official statement. He lied so much on his military record that the VFW expelled him. That is conduct unbecoming. Making defamatory and insulting remarks about a fellow officer in public is also unbecoming. I have core requests of you and Teal insulting Laura Thomas, calling her stupid, calling her incapable of doing the job. We have postcards that you and Teal, probably Teal's wife, are putting out, calling her a loose woman. I'm sorry to say this, but a whore, a tired, used sofa. It's disgusting. That is conduct unbecoming. Drunk and disorderly conduct in public, Abe. Your DUI that you tried stalling the test, that you threatened the police officers, and then you tried bribing the Attorney General to get out of, that, sir, is conduct unbecoming. Without a doubt. You can shake your head. Then I just found out about your hit and run. Your hit and run. You know what that is? You're a lawyer. That's an egregious crime. What do they call it? It's a crime against the public. You were trying to get out of probably another DUI. That is conduct unbecoming. You promising every single one of us here that you were going to pay back your stupid leadership loan to go to Harvard for a vacation, and then you come back and what do you learn from your leadership? You come back and you just you decide you're not going to pay it back, and you laugh at a fellow citizen and tell them you're going to give them a dime out of your own pocket? That is conduct unbecoming. You are nothing but a whitewashed, hypocritical Pharisee. You're immature. You need to grow up. And I'm just sorry, I know I'm going to get kicked out anyway, but just for everybody here and for the whole county and for the coward and for your hypocrisy, just fuck off. Just seriously. You need to treat your colleagues with respect.
So your time has expired. We will maintain order here.
Yeah, I know it is.
We'll maintain order.
I wish your time would be expired because you're an asshole.
Next comment, yes?
Yep. My name's Joe Hildebrand. I'm a resident of Highlands Ranch. This is the probably last time you're going to see me in here as well. For the record, I was not asked to come here. That's patronizing and absolutely deplorable and disgusting that's even insinuated. I asked to come here. That's how upset I am. I asked to be here, was not asked, and it's funny that the term gaslighting got used again, but allow me to continue. The oath of office, the promise to not only defend but uphold the Constitution of our great nation and due process are the bedrocks upon which our great republic was built. Our republic, our representative democracy, places the choice of representation in the hands of the people through free, fair, and open elections. The people of Sedalia, Louviers, Roxborough, and all of Highlands Ranch spoke. We spoke loud and clear. When we elected Laura Thomas to represent us as commissioner, it was our choice to have Laura represent us and our interests. The continued actions against Laura that appear to be coordinated, whether intentional or not, appear to be designed to mute and negate the voice of not only Laura, but the people who elected her to represent them. On its face, that may sound purely political, as something that only happens and remains only in this building. That cannot be further from the truth. Bear with me. Good old Google. As a Douglas County resident in Highlands Ranch and a person in Laura's district, I ask that the board cease their attempts to mute our voice and representative. I ask that they rescind their censure of Laura, return her committees, provide her with the same benefits other commissioners have, especially where the reimbursement of expenses are concerned, and return Laura to the chair position. This county needs real, direct leadership more than ever before. Laura is the only one to provide that for the people of our county. In closing, I'll remind this board that the framers of our Constitution were wise to gift us with our representative democracy, for it places we, the people, 1 degree of separation from the halls of power. The people of this entire county are paying attention more than ever before. If any of those who currently occupy the seats here have designs and the ability to remain in them, it would be my advice to listen to the people. And anything less and everything we've witnessed up until now has been, that's all I got to say.
Well, thank you for that comment, sir.
It's not good to gaslight people. You should stop.
I agree.
And you should listen to people.
I am absolutely listening. And like I said, and for those that just joined us, I hear from thousands of citizens on an annual basis. Well, a lot of them are members of our staff that are intimidated. Sir, we gave you your time.
Can anybody here stand up for it?
You know, I hear from our staff, hey, sir, if you cannot stay in line, I heard from you, I'm gonna respond. I think you're here to hear what's actually going on. Like I said, we have many members of our staff that have reached out to me and said this is a reckless agitator, female members of our staff. I will not abide by that sort of issue for our public on a daily basis when this individual is representing us in the community. I specifically emailed, and you can core this, leadership from the committees that she sits on when Commissioner Teal said she should be removed from all committees. I said, no, let's pause. I reached out to those leaders and said, please let me know if you believe Laura Thomas should remain on your committees. I didn't hear from a single one. And those are individuals that work with her on a daily basis. I have for 6 years looked for any glimmer of hope to work positively. And frankly, at times we have. And I think there is a remarkable ability in Laura Thomas to do good things on behalf of our public. But again, we are deeply challenged by these comments from staff in our community, and I have to honor that. Next citizen. Yep.
Russ Maneri, Larkspur, actually Perry Park. I've spoken before on this topic, so this is not a new thing, but this has to do primarily with the commissioner conflicts and behavior among all of you. For the record, I supported and voted for all 3 currently serving county commissioners. And I guess I'd just say that it is really okay to dislike and disagree with someone. But as elected representatives, it is not okay to bully or kind of, I guess I'd say, organize 2 against 1 for any reason, to execute personal vendettas, etc. And I've got to say, one of the things, I was curious. Commissioner Thomas was censured by Commissioner Layden and Commissioner Teal. And after going through this stuff as much as I could, I have currently dealing with some cancer and a few things like that.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I don't see any crimes committed. And so censure, as I understand it, is intended to discipline or punish someone. And I guess I'd say, as a Christian, there's a point where you have to say this person has been punished or disciplined enough. I think there has not been enough concentration on restoring someone. And I think that someone who should be restored is Commissioner Thomas. Understand, I voted for all 3 commissioners currently serving. So here's the thing. If no crimes have been committed, I think enough's enough. I think that Commissioner Thomas should be reinstated to her committees. I think that she should be given exactly the same privileges, such as credit card, reimbursement of expenses, as all 3 current county commissioners. One of the things that I am somewhat disturbed by, and I don't have the details on it, I'm not going to accuse anybody, but it seems as though, Commissioner Layden, that you approved some expenditure for your Harvard jaunt, whatever that is. I don't understand the purpose, but okay. And I think that should be reimbursed by you personally to the county. And last, there's this term we use called disenfranchisement. When people are disenfranchised, their ability to be represented or to vote on any given issue is taken away. And I believe that is unjust. I believe that Commissioner Thomas, who I voted for, and her constituents are being disenfranchised. I'm going to leave it right at that. Please find a way to get along and represent all of our county residents and taxpayers. Thank you.
I would love nothing more. Thank you for that. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I've been a Douglas County resident for about 12 years. I've been introduced to, but I do not know Laura Thomas personally, but I have been introduced to her. I've attended several of these meetings and have felt the uncomfortable tension among the three of you, one who's not available right now, and I do extend my heartfelt interest in George's wife. The most unsettling observation that I've reached in my mind is that the tenuous arguments you offer have no, and I mean zero, substantiations. For example, I know it's been said that Laura creates a hostile working environment. What does that mean? I mean, I can't pass judgment on somebody if I don't know specifics. And I would like to know exactly what behaviors, what actual words she said, maybe presented in a video, so that I can make up my own mind if Laura is hostile. Now we have a few other very generalized words or phrases. Reckless agitator? What does that mean? She has disparaged other citizens or the citizens? What does that mean? She's harassed? What does that mean? She's caused a ruckus and she's misbehaved, okay? I don't have any evidence of that. I understand that she read a letter that had been in the public domain for 2 years, and I'm questioning whether she was sharing this letter as an attempt to reconcile or resolve situations that maybe she thought could be improved, or was she reading this stuff to be demeaning? I don't know, because I don't have any specificity, any actual words and visuals about this woman. I'd love to see that video so that I can make up my own mind. I have to say, hearing all these disparaging comments about Laura, she does have nerves of steel. I do know that. I don't know her, but I do know that she has nerves of steel. For someone who received thousands more votes than her accusers, I can only surmise the taxpayers' wishes are not being honored. So please present some evidence and I'll be able to make a better assessment. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Additional citizen comment?
My name is Cindy Lipsinski. I'm from Wauket Ridge. And, Abe says he's heard from thousands of people, but I really believe that there are a lot of people that are afraid to speak up because they're afraid of retribution. And, for whatever reasons, people are afraid to speak up. Out in the community, I've heard a lot of comments that do not support you as a commissioner and support what you've stated. Today, I'm here as a concerned citizen to ask for accountability. Abe Layden and George Teal have marginalized my vote for Laura Thomas. I have observed that Layden and Teal have acted like they are accountable to no one. They have restricted Laura Thomas's ability to do her job. First, I'd like to address the comment made by Layden to the Colorado community media. It is ironic that accusing Laura Thomas of gaslighting, he is actually doing the gaslighting. You wonder if you know what it means. Look up the definition. In his statement to the media, Layden criticized Laura Thomas for things that he and Teal are guilty of: gaslighting, reckless behavior, bad judgment, not serving the people. You're the ones treating citizens as though we're dumb and easily manipulated. You have insulted us and abused your position of authority. You repeated lies about Laura Thomas, falsely accusing her, but giving no real evidence to back up your claims. You demonstrate reckless behavior and bad judgment, wasting taxpayers' money on frivolous lawsuits. Neither of you seem to focus on serving the people, but appear to serve your own agenda. This is not very attractive. You may think that it makes you look strong, but actually I think it makes you look very weak and insecure. You are classic bullies who seem to thrive on discord, and it seems like just because you can, you often overrule her and try to demean the brightest and most capable member of your team. Perhaps this strokes your ego. You think this makes you look strong and powerful. I like the way you decided to move the citizen comments to the end of the meeting, because it appears, even though I do commend you for speaking a second ago, but you do need to address the comments. Don't just let them slide by. They do need to be addressed, please, for our sake. Just do the right thing. Just stop the ongoing abusive, demeaning behaviors against Laura Thomas. Think what she could have accomplished if she hadn't been stifled, marginalized, and punished. You are standing in Laura's way and disenfranchising those who voted for her. To quote Mandy Connell, the entire situation is a complete waste of taxpayers' dollars by spiteful and vindictive duo of Teal and Layden. They are an embarrassment to Douglas County and a fine example of a new breed of good old boy network. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Additional citizen comment.
Good afternoon, Benjamin Ling, Castle Pines. Earlier this week, I was given a packet of receipts, credit card invoices, some other financial statements, and it caused a lot of concern to me because it looks like the county commissioners are lacking in internal controls with what they're spending money on and how they're spending taxpayers' money. And this is especially concerning against the backdrop of restricting one of the commissioners' ability to get reimbursements and have their credit card. A few of these examples are damage to a government vehicle. Abe, this was you, $5,000. I'm sure you saw that. But, it makes me wonder, is there a mechanism to hold commissioners responsible or employees responsible for damaging government property where the taxpayers have to come out of pocket? Do we investigate it? Was there negligence? Was that negligence the proximate cause of the loss? And if that's the case, are we going to have the citizens pay for that, or is some of that going to come out of the pocket of the person who caused the loss? I saw a receipt for alcohol at a lunch. There's zero reason for a county employee to have a weekday lunch and put alcohol on the government credit card. That is a no-go, and I was very shocked to see that. I saw another lunch for two people. It was more than $100. That's before tip and tax. Two lunch entrees for $46 each. I don't think I've ever seen a lunch entree for $46. And this just shows that there's no guardrails on what people are spending for meals out, and it's a total disregard. I would be very surprised if the person who made this charge would do the same charge if it was coming out of his pocket. I saw meals one-on-one at restaurants between two county employees. Now, if you have two county employees that has to do business with a third party, okay, that's fine. But it is not acceptable for two county employees to run out to lunch and have a meeting or whatever and throw it on the government credit card. We have offices for that. We have conference rooms for that. In big businesses, that's how it's done. What I see here is a no-go. And then I saw a $20,000, more than $20,000 in legal fees. I saw engagement letters signed with Brownstein and Sherman and Howard, two of the highest cost providers in the state of Colorado, to be doing investigative work for us. There is no need to go seek out the most expensive providers to do legal work for the county, and I'd be interested to understand what other providers were evaluated to look into this, because those are expenses that are just off the charts. I recommend that you reinstall the credit card for Commissioner Thomas and also her expense reimbursements. I also recommend that the three of you get together with people who understand rules about using government credit cards, incurring expenses, and set some guardrails down so stuff like this doesn't happen again, because the stuff that I saw in just 15 minutes is really unsatisfactory and it needs to change. Thanks.
Thank you, Ben. So I'm going to speak to that really quickly because I think that's really important. Our county manager is here, Doug DeBoard, who's been here for 30 years. He has frequently said I'm one of the most fiscally conservative when it comes to that credit card. I have never put alcohol on that card ever at any time. We're entitled to a mileage reimbursement. We're entitled to a mileage. Sir, if you have one more interjection, we are going to ask you to be removed.
I didn't hit and run or DUI.
Okay, I'm going to take a brief recess for law enforcement to handle this, please. Thank you.
They don't like you. They talk about you that you're the loser spending money, DUI, sit and run, conduct unbecoming.
Sir,
conduct unbecoming.
your comments speak for your own credibility. So again, our county manager is right here. We're entitled to a mileage reimbursement. I have never even charged a mileage reimbursement. I almost never have done that. I think in the first couple years I had a county vehicle. I've used my own vehicle this entire time. Much has been said about tuition reimbursement for the preeminent public policy institute in the world. Several counties in this state have sent their commissioners to that program at their cost. What I said is I wanted to look into any reimbursement program that would be provided to me, and each of those had special interest associated with them. So I said any citizen that wants their contribution back, I would personally pay that. I only did that, but I also provided a class for free summarizing all of that information that you attended. I will also reiterate that we have several people from this staff in this county that have gone to that specific program, and it has never been an issue. So professional development, as you know, in the private sector and public is deeply significant. We actually sent somebody from our clerk's office to get a full degree to move forward in IT. And so that's something that we do normally. So I just want to be very careful about how we're characterizing this. And in particular, the one lunch I had with this individual, Jeff Garcia, I paid for half of that because I felt like it was too much. He was coming on board as a brand new attorney. I paid for half because I felt like it was a lot. So I do that regularly, and I don't know if our county attorney or our county manager want to speak to that. Any dispute about what I just said?
I have no dispute with what you said.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Ben. Additional citizen comment.
I didn't mention anything about your Harvard class in my presentation here, but it seems like
I appreciate it, Ben.
That's top of mind for you, so good.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm grateful you get to take Harvard classes for our community. It makes us better, doesn't it? At any rate, thank you for all the comments. I wanted to just say one comment about a community as we're watching slaughter in Israel and slaughter of women and slaughter of our military and men, Japanese floating down, and the men crawling in army suits, and we hail Zelensky. I want to say a little more about, look at that man. Look at a leader. None of you could do what he's done. I know that. I don't even know Abe Layden. Let me tell you something. I'm a woman, and I'll tell you straight up, if you think $5,000 is enough to pay her, I'll pay it to her. I'll give her the $5,000. Let's cut this crap. We've got war and poverty and homelessness and immigration. I don't know what you guys live like. He's working hard for you, and so is she. And I respect her just as much as Abe Layden. But she does have a tongue, and I have a tongue. Women have tongues. We don't have the same rights, I think. So sometimes I don't know what her tongue is. I do know that they are not getting along. They weren't getting along, but they are working on it, and I know that. But let me say, Martin Luther King Jr., who fought for civility, freedom, non-segregation, he said, "We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools." We will perish in this community if you're going to be a fool, and I'm a fool. And I'll tell you outright, whatever he got the good lawyers, Brownston or whatever, whoever those were in Denver, good for him. Because I paid $18,000 after 2 days in jail by my nephew after saving my mom's life. And we are at war, brother, sister. We are at war. Your neighbor is at war with you. I got raped in my home. I didn't charge him. I closed the case with Deputy Sheriff because he was a good man. And COVID caused so much hell. And if you haven't been in a hospital, survive, live, or die, those are wars. And the war is in front of you and me. And we have economic war. And if we cannot get along as brothers and sisters in the greatest community by a strong leader, and I'll say it outright, he has a good history, and so does she. But histories repeat itself, and we keep slandering. I left a family. I left all of them behind because of the bitterness and the war from the age of 15. The history we can't erase. And if you can't erase this history today, this will be a war, and I will write her a check for $5,100 and cut the crap, because we're facing more than $5,100 in this community of losses. And they fought for your taxes, and that was the hardest fight. I know. I also worked. I have 19 seconds left, and I want to say something, and I want to say it outright, and not to him, because I respect him. He has earned his law degree. Fail. We all fail. We all say things. You say it. And he is leading our community. And you tell me you can't look at the one before, I can't remember his name, the one that died, passed away, the good family. He has a good family. And Laura too. And I'm divorced, and I took care of dead children almost, and they're all living. And I gave my life to them, to the goodness. And my father who died for me. And you will have to take the measure of who you're going to support, and it's going to be now. And like he said, last again, we must learn to live together as brothers and sisters in humanity, perish together as fools. I'm not getting my genitals cut off right now or being naked, but I did get raped in my home, and I got $27,000 stolen in a hospital. And I'll tell you, you got good leaders. And this is the best community, second in the nation. And if you can't live here, go to Israel or Hamas and fight with them, because this is a war.
Ma'am, thank you for your comments.
That will be for her for $5,100. Cut the crap.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. My name is Leslie Hansen. I live in the Roxborough community. I've lived there for 35 years, so I am a direct constituent of Laura Thomas's. Commissioner Layden, I think your statements were arrogant, demeaning, and patronizing in some of the comments that you have made. And you are, I agree with the gentleman who said that the vote of the citizens of Roxborough and the Ms. Thomas's constituents are being disenfranchised. That's our constitutional right to have a voice heard. And my biggest question is, under what authority have you and Commissioner Teal taken all these actions? I call on the county attorney to address this directly. There have been 3 investigations of Commissioner Thomas, all of which were instigated by you and Commissioner Teal. All of them have resulted in a favorable outcome to Ms. Thomas. There's been no wrongdoing. You spent $24,000 of taxpayer money to have a law firm investigate her. Under what authority are you allowed to write a check and authorize a law firm to conduct an investigation of a fellow commissioner? I don't understand what legal right or authority you have. It's the tyranny of the majority here. You're saying that you don't agree with what Ms. Thomas is saying in the community. All the things that you said, Commissioner Layden, about Ms. Thomas, they may be true. I don't think they are. But even if they are true, it's not up to you. It's up to the voters. It's up to her constituents to vote her out of office if, in fact, she's engaging in conduct as you describe. but denying her a credit card and refusing to pay her fees. She filed a lawsuit because she made a legitimate request to have her fees paid, a request that you also made for a previous investigation. Your lawyer wrote a letter saying that you were entitled to the fees. She's now written a letter saying that she's entitled to the fees under the same theory, presumably. And in response to her lawsuit, you went out and hired the most expensive law firm in the state, Brownstein Hyatt, and they charged $26,000 to respond, to file one motion. Can we expect that every time that they file a motion on your behalf that we're going to be charged $26,000? You have spent 10 times more than what her request is for. That is objectively unreasonable. Pay her bill. Your own attorney acknowledged. If your personal attorney, Commissioner Layden, sent you a bill, if Carolyn Witkus sent you a bill for $26,000 for one motion, I dare say you'd have something to say about that. It's your obligation. You have a fiduciary duty to the citizens of this county. And refusing to pay a $5,800 bill and spending $50,000 objecting to it is, as I said, objectively unreasonable, and it's fiscally irresponsible. And I urge the county to pay that bill. And I ask again, under what authority are you all undertaking these investigations and these denials of, you said you had that you got a mileage reimbursement. Apparently you do, but Ms. Thomas does not. How is that fair? Thank you.
Ma'am, thank you for that. And I am not getting a mileage reimbursement. It's actually Commissioner Thomas that's getting the mileage reimbursement. And let me be very clear. So during COVID, when the pandemic hit, I asked for communication support to make sure that we were accurately communicating to you and all of our citizens about exactly what was happening, to ensure that you were keeping your freedoms, that people were not masked, that people were understanding what was happening to our community. I asked for additional communication support, and in the midst of this horrible storm, Commissioner Thomas made accusations toward me. So that's the letter that you're referring to. She was very upset about the fact that I was asking for additional communication support. I was doing that in my official capacity to support you and every member of this community during a very critical time. What Commissioner Thomas has done was not in her official capacity. For her to disparage law enforcement at a political assembly, that's not her official duties. For her, ma'am, I did listen to you. I'm going to go ahead and respond, ma'am. Ma'am, you are out of order. I listened to you, and I'm going to respond to you, okay?
You get to respond, and we're limited to 3 minutes. Am I going to get a rebuttal?
Ma'am, we have citizen comment. Each of you gets 3 minutes because we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to be heard.
Is Ms. Thomas going to be allowed?
Commissioner Thomas has spoken quite a bit and will be offered the opportunity to say whatever she'd like. She can, and again, me acting in my official capacity, and let me add, I did pay my own attorney's fees out of my pocket. I did not ask the county to reimburse me. The reason we're paying fees is because of frivolous lawsuits being filed by our colleague. I did not ask for that, but we will defend on principle. We don't believe paying legal fees for misbehavior is appropriate or what our citizens are calling us to do. Ma'am, once again, I didn't interrupt you while you were speaking, and I'm trying to provide a response. Additional citizen comment.
I'd like to have the opportunity to talk because Commissioner Layden has answered a lot. I would just like to respond. There was a question that Commissioner Layden just said that in the middle of COVID, he was trying to hire communication support. We have an excellent communication team. And what happened is Commissioner Partridge was supposed to step down as being the chair at the end of his year, and he refused. And so Commissioner Layden called me and said, hey, I will vote for you to be the chair if you vote to hire my friend to work for the county for $58,000 for 8 weeks worth of work. I have a copy of that contract. I went to the communication director and I asked her, do you need more help? And she said, no, I don't need more help. We have this under control. And so Commissioner Layden says lots of stories. I have the truth. I have documents to back up what I have said. And this is embarrassing for me, but this is what the citizens need to do to get this situation stopped. And so I appreciate all of you that have come here to speak.
So Commissioner Thomas, did I pay my attorney's fees?
You did pay your attorney's
Okay.
fees after your attorney sent
Thank
us a
you.
letter. Let me just finish this. Don't just cut me off. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Your attorney did send the county a letter that said the county was responsible for paying your fees, but you are going to waive your right. I agreed to waive my right to my legal fees if you and Teal would split the $24,000 that you wasted investigating me, and you turned down that compromise as well as paying my $5,800.
Nobody wants to use taxpayer money to pay legal fees. I paid my own fees, acting in my official capacity, which in that letter very clearly indicated that your behavior was egregious. That's in that same letter as well. I paid those fees myself. You're asking the citizens of this community to pay fees for your misbehavior where you weren't acting in your official capacity. And on principle, that's inappropriate. I believe my colleague Commissioner Teal agrees with that.
Let me just add that
what I'm
you
going to
say-
say,
I'm gonna wait.
I'm not finished. I heard you. My response is this. I don't believe you're embarrassed by this, because this is probably the 15th time in my 6 years that we have had citizens brought here to, instead of focusing on veterans and mental health and support for transportation and public safety, we are wasting valuable taxpayer time talking about Commissioner Thomas. We have a previous elected official that said the common denominator in all of your burned bridges is you. And you've had it for 20 years. I want to be really clear with the public. I'm glad you're here. I didn't leave. I'm here because I work for you, not the other way around. The reason that this actually started, if you actually want to know, was in 2019, Commissioner Thomas, before I ran for office, asked me to defund the police because she was having a fight with the sheriff's office. They had deprived her of a vending machine when she was coroner, and et cetera, et cetera. She wanted to take 0.25 out of the Justice Center sales tax and move it to roads. I said, I support transportation. Let's continue to talk. When I didn't support the full 0.25, she told Doug DeBoard, who's right here, tell me if I'm completely wrong, that she was going to burn me down. And she has spent 5.5 years just trying to do that. I think it's a waste of energy. By the way, I did speak to the undersheriff, and we got 0.18 moved over to roads. We got $220 million for transportation in this community without raising taxes. But Commissioner Thomas was not satisfied with that and has continued to have this vendetta. That is what's actually going on.
So if I could just respond.
You can. Okay. Sir. I respect that you came here on your own. I do. Commissioner Thomas?
Yeah, if I could just respond, you said that my $5,800 request to you to pay for my legal bills was for my misbehavior. There was no misbehavior. There were investigations, 2 investigations, and I was cleared in both of those investigations. You and Teal tried to get me criminally charged by either the DA or the sheriff. The sheriff cleared me of all wrongdoing after I was forced to hire an attorney to represent my rights in that. So I'm not asking to be reimbursed for my misbehavior. I'm being asked to be reimbursed so that I can be whole after I had to hire a criminal defense attorney to represent me. Second of all, you keep spinning this about defunding the police. The actual truth is that I endorsed Abe Layden, if you can believe this. I endorsed Abe Layden in 2018 when he ran for commissioner because I showed a proposal to him that I had created to fund roads without increasing taxes, and he assured me that he would support that proposal. I did my end of the bargain. He did not do his. And when someone lies to me, I put my signature on a mail piece to support him. And then he did not keep his end of the bargain. I don't know about you, but when someone lies to you and uses that way and betrays you, it's pretty hard to trust them after that. So thank you for listening to that.
Well, Commissioner, I appreciate you admitting that this is really what began all of this. Again, 0.18 is very different than 0.25. And our
So
experts
my
in the
legal
county
fees were
said,
$18,000, Laura, for innocent
Ma'am.
helping immigration. So pay me back that community for helping your immigration here.
okay, we'll continue with citizen comment. Additional citizen comment.
Unbelievable triteness, but I understand the division. It's right present. It's the money. It's pride.
No, it's the principle.
It's the pride.
No, it's principle.
Let's put the history behind it. Let's go forward. We've got worse.
Commissioners, Dan
Yes, sir.
Meyer, Highlands Ranch, continues to be the most beautiful place in the world. Went to the optometrist the other day, and I told her, I said, you know, I'm having trouble reading. I said, what's the problem? And she just said, old eyes. So here we go. I do appreciate the hours. I was General Motors field sales and service for almost 3 decades. The commissioners have a day job, they have a night job, they go to dinners, so I'm not trying to belittle or demean anybody here. But the problem is, you know, I was born at night, but not last night. I stood here August 22nd, and I objected to the censure of Laura Thomas. It's pretty clear. Censure is really censorship. It assumes a person is guilty until proven innocent. It abridges First Amendment rights. And I was really kind of depressed, downtrodden, following my comments. I was told, well, it's a little too late. She's already been censured. So I guess August 22nd, for me and for everybody, was a waste of time. I don't know what, in a practical sense, censure has meant. Laura's still here. She's still able to talk. I'm completely lost on that subject. But I believe Commissioner Thomas is simply trying to be transparent with us. I think she cares about where the money goes. And it's not the commission's money, it's my money that's being spent here on various things. All elected and appointed government, the only mission of it is to serve the people. All elected and appointed government bureaucracies are funded by taxpayer dollars. There should never be opposition to questions raised about the merits of any government program, which always costs the people something, even when couched as free, volunteer, or whatever the semantics may be. There is no free lunch. On August 22nd, I said if it was in my power, I would abolish the word politics from the English language. Unfortunately, I don't have that power, and I've blown my time. But the next big issue for me is this Water Commission board and pumping 26,000 acre-feet of water from someplace in Southern California. I was not asked about this. I was not asked to vote on this. This was just apparently done. And I'll be honest, I watched General Motors self-destruct from a field perspective.
And sir, your time has expired. If you can wrap up, please.
That's really all I have. I'm just very concerned about this future 2050 water plan, and I think it needs to be voted on, and I think expenditures of that size need to be unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Additional citizen comment.
Larry Glessner, Lone Tree, Colorado. I've been a resident of Douglas County since 1985. I believe Commissioners Layden and Teal need to reflect on the impact of their behavior on the reputation of Douglas County government and the ability of the commissioners to effectively work in the best interests of Douglas County citizens. I've never regretted actively campaigning for and financially supporting a candidate as much as I regret knocking on doors and writing a check for Commissioner Layden. If Commissioner Layden's accusations and claims about the popular opinion of Laura Thomas were true, she would not have been reelected. Commissioner Layden's accusations have been determined by a judge and a sheriff to be without merit, yet he continues to make those accusations as though they were true. If you ever expect to run or hold for higher office or another office, you better look at your behavior and the voters' opinions of your behavior and reflect on that. If I thought you had a conscience, I might have some hope. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that comment, sir. You know, I'm going to ask our county attorney to read from our board policy manual, our code of conduct. One of the questions that was asked is what authority does the board have to handle issues that occur among the Board of County Commissioners? We have a board policy manual that the Board of County Commissioners has always had for many years. And in that document, we have wide discretion to hold each other accountable for violations of that code of conduct, me included. And I ask the board to do that. The reason for all of these challenges, issues, investigations have been related to the authority given to us and that board of conduct that's given to us through the policy manual, in which all three county commissioners have voted to approve. Mr. Garcia.
The section you're referencing, Commissioner, states the Board of County Commissioners may impose sanctions on commissioners whose conduct does not comply with the board's ethical standards, such as reprimand, formal censure, loss of committee assignment, or budget restriction.
Okay. And how many commissioners that are currently seated agreed and voted to that particular provision?
I believe all three commissioners signed.
Okay, thank you. So that's what we're holding ourselves to, including myself. And so if at any time my board believes that I've acted in a way that is inappropriate or unethical, I expect them to hold me accountable. I expect the free press to hold me accountable. I want you to hold me accountable. So I appreciate you being here, but that is the basis under which we've moved forward. Additional citizen comment.
If I could just respond, that the reason I signed that is because I was aware of a hit-and-run accident that had happened by a previous commissioner, and I felt that this gave the opportunity for commissioners to hold that commissioner responsible for paying for that fee. But let me just tell you, have you ever seen any evidence of any of the accusations that have been made against me?
Well, and again, there's a difference between criminal liability and liability as determined by the Board of County Commissioners and the citizens in this community. For us, disparaging law enforcement for political benefit is not okay. Failing to deny that you've leaked privileged documents to the press is a challenge for us in our board policy manual. In our history, I have never seen a member of our board leak documents to the press in an executive session for their own personal benefit. And your failure to deny that is absolutely significant to us. Additional citizen comment. Can I ask a question? Ma'am, you've had your opportunity. We're going to give your fellow citizens the opportunity to speak as well. Yes, sir.
My name's Roger Long, and I'm from Parker, Colorado. And I really don't understand politicians, I'll be honest with you.
Me neither.
I'm just a cowboy. But I ran a business for 45 years, and any time my employees or anyone that was working with us had paid their money in order to do their job, I owed them an expense check. I don't know how you can get away with this, saying, I don't have to pay you. And that isn't even some hiatus to Harvard, where you told us, I'll pay you back. And I have nothing from that. So what I'm thinking is, this is not ethical. If you're going to have an employee and someone in our, especially someone that we voted for, and then you take them off all of their committees, And then you sue them. You send them to court. Now tell me, how many times will she have to go to court? 2 times, 5 times? And then, is that a way of just draining their bank account? Because that's costing them money, and you know that as an attorney. So pay her the expense account. Pay her for her legal fees. Did she get convicted of anything? No. But we're going to have another lawsuit? How many of these are we going to have to pay for? So I'm just standing here saying, you know, we need to do the ethical things. And we need to respect each other. This is a great county. I've been here almost all my life, and I want to see the bullying stopped. So stop the bullying. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Additional citizen comment? Welcome.
Thank you. Carla Perez from Castle Rock. And I had the privilege of meeting Commissioner Thomas back when she was coroner. And I have been very impressed with the work that she did in that capacity. I voted for her to be our commissioner, and from what I have seen and what I've heard, she's done an excellent job representing me, even though she's not in my district. When you and Teal also ran for the position of commissioner, I did my research, and I did not feel comfortable voting either one of you into office. And I'm sad to say that through these years, you've kind of proven why I did not vote for you. It's interesting that Commissioner Thomas has done such a great job representing so many people, and then when you came on board, all of a sudden there's trouble, and there's lawsuits. And I know you have an attorney background, and that just kind of stinks to me. And it really makes me wonder what is going on. And I agree with many, almost probably 99% of the comments that have been spoken here today. So I won't repeat those, but I do want to just reiterate that I would like to see you have her reinstated. I would like to see her chair the board. I would like to see her reimbursed for her expenses. I would like to see you reimburse the taxpayers for the expenses that you went to Harvard for the 3-week course. You said that you would do that, 10 cents per, no, you know, there was a time recently that I returned something to a store that I had purchased, and they asked me, did I want store credit or did I want the payment to go back to the original method? And I said, well, of course, the original method, that was directly to me. And that's what I think you should do as well, is the original method. Just put it back in the coffers from the county that all of our tax money went into, not a dime per citizen. So I just, this is really embarrassing. I feel like what is going on is childish, and I would really like to see a couple of strong businessmen up here along with the strong businesswoman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Additional citizen comment? Mr. Swartout.
Thank you, Commissioners. I moved to Douglas County in 1997. Some say I immigrated from Boulder County. That was a joke. But I've worked with all the commissioners since that time. I've had various roles in and out of government during that time period. I live here. I'm a resident of Highlands Ranch. And I guess my plea is, let's take 2 steps back. Let's stop. I mean, this conflict has escalated to the point of voters feeling like they've been disenfranchised because they voted for Commissioner Thomas, and to see her role diminished, they feel like they've been disenfranchised. I've worked with all 3 of you, George and Abe and Laura, on some really good stuff, all of you, that's well known to you. I remember working with Commissioner Partridge and Commissioner Thomas and Commissioner Layden on getting Park Meadows open during the pandemic, when the governor shut everything down, shut all of our businesses down with executive orders. That was a great moment to open businesses even during those lockdown orders. You guys worked together very effectively. to make that happen, because other counties weren't able to do that. I've worked with Laura for 25 years. When I started working with her, she worked for a state patrol. She was in charge of transportation of waste and other nuclear material out of Rocky Flats. And I'll tell you what, Laura's tough. And I worked for Governor Owens at the time. If we didn't have every I dotted, every T crossed, that stuff didn't leave the site. And people get frustrated with her. People have always gotten frustrated with her because she's always argued for transparency and accountability to the citizens and the taxpayers. And Abe, I've worked with you on the opioid settlement, which blessed this state in working with the Attorney General. Great work. And I guess my plea is, let's take 2 steps back. And let's figure this out, because as a citizen of Douglas County, as a taxpayer, let's figure out how to solve this and work together forward. Because this can't stand. This conflict has gotten out of everyone's control. And I just ask you, as a citizen and as a taxpayer in Douglas County, let's find a way to figure this out. This isn't good for any of the 3 of you. It isn't good for the taxpayers. I know all your hearts, but let's go to the heart. I think the lady said it. Let's figure this out from the heart, because this kind of treatment of Commissioner Thomas and the resulting conflict cannot stand. We need to figure out a path forward. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And I just want to identify you as one of the state's preeminent leaders. You've advised presidents, you've advised governors on both sides of the aisle, and have been a Douglas County resident, as you said, for a very long time. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. And we've had several times where I've asked for professional mediation to help address this, identify ways to work well together. I've prayed in Doug's office, and he's prayed in mine, that this would be resolved. And I'm always looking forward to that opportunity. So I'm an optimist at heart. I hope that we get there. Additional citizen comment. Any additional citizen comment? I do appreciate you all being here. Any citizen comment online?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Okay, and with that, I'll close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for any commissioner comments.
So I'd like to ask the County Attorney, Jeff Garcia, you read something out of the policy manual for Commissioner Layden. Do you have the resolution that this County Board of Commissioners passed in July of this year about reimbursement of mileage? It was, I believe, July 23rd or 25th that we passed that resolution.
Let me look real quick.
Thank you. While he's doing that, I would just like to say that we had a meeting with the county attorney back in January, when the county attorney recommended that my legal fees be paid unless it could be proven that my actions were willful and wanton. I'm not clear how my actions could have been willful and wanton with the intent to harm this county, since I've been cleared of all wrongdoing. I'd also like to tell all of you that you are a priority to me. You are not an afterthought or an endnote. Before March 14th, citizen comment was at the very beginning of every one of our business meetings. After that March 14th meeting, when several citizens came and this kind of situation happened, my fellow commissioners moved citizen comment to the end of the meeting. And that's why you had to sit through the entire meeting in order to have your voice heard. And, well, one of my fellow commissioners often says, "We work for you, you are the boss." I want to tell you that I voted no when the vote came up to put citizen comment at the end, because I represent you. Every day when I get up, I pray to God that I follow his guidance to do what I am supposed to do to represent each and every one of you. And I can't represent you if I don't hear from you. And you should be the first ones on our business agenda every time we have a business meeting. So I would first like to thank all of those who took the time out of their busy schedules to address this board today and help bring a greater public awareness to the clear and wholly unjustified abuses that continue to occur in an effort to bully, stifle, punish, marginalize, and cancel me as a duly elected county commissioner. I am an equal on this board. We are all three peers. As many of you have pointed out today, I was twice elected to serve the people of this county by substantial margins. And the actions taken against me, removing me and excluding me from equal participation and representation on boards and commissions upon which I have served faithfully and effectively, denying my equal access to paying for necessities and duties of my position with the county credit card, and refusing to reimburse expenses which I have personally borne in the fulfillment of my duties and responsibilities as a county commissioner, are nothing more than petty, personal, political retributions for my refusal to remain silent on matters of importance to the people of this county. But they are not just seeking to silence and marginalize me. In doing so, they are canceling the votes of tens of thousands who elected me to do this job. Know that I will not be cowed or intimidated by this or any other retaliation directed against me for simply doing my job as I see necessary. I will continue to work on your behalf, speak out, and tell the unvarnished truth about what is going on with your county government, no matter how uncomfortable or objectionable the other members of this board may find fit. I don't work for them. I work for all of you, and nothing they do will ever change that. Thank you. Mr. Garcia, did you find that?
I did.
And does the word say that reimbursements will happen, or does it say may happen?
It's referencing a Colorado statute, CRS 32103, and it says county commissioners shall be allowed their actual and necessary maintenance expenses together with such mileage as determined by resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of the county for which miles actually traveled, whether within or without of the state, when engaged in business on behalf of the county. But no mileage expense shall be allowed while said commissioner is traveling in an automobile furnished by the county.
So the word is shall.
It is shall.
Okay, so I have never driven a county car as I have served as your commissioner. I have always driven my own personal vehicle and expensed the miles that are actually in part of doing my job for you. And if Commissioner Layden chooses not to take the time to track all the miles and turn in all the paperwork, it takes a lot of effort to do that. I understand that. But I am entitled to this according to the resolution that we passed in July. That's less than 6 months ago. Yet yesterday I was told by both Commissioner Layden and Teal that they are not going to pay another penny for anything I do because I have been censured. And they don't like the things that I say.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Thomas. So, my perspective of you in 6 years is that you are incredibly strong, incredibly capable, and I've seen you do great things for those that are struggling with mental health issues and certainly folks in the IDD population. I'm very thankful for the opportunities we have had to make a difference for our community, including providing $220 million for roads without raising taxes. This is a county that has a balanced budget. We are out of debt. This county's out of debt. It's unusual for government to be at that space, but we do that because we've done that together. And when we work well together, I think really positive things can occur. I don't need a title. I am here for the citizens. The reason the citizen comment was moved, honestly, is because there was a member of the IDD population, developmentally disabled child, that started to cry because this exact same thing happened and they were very disturbed. So forcing people that are here, to listen to the vitriol, I think our citizens are tired of it. They want us to, as John Swartout said, move on, move forward, move upstream. I'm always willing to do that. Again, I would look forward and be hopeful for an opportunity I don't need the title. I would love to reinstate you and put you in whatever leadership role you are capable of. Again, when I continue to hear from county staff, particularly females, that they don't feel comfortable, that what you do is reckless, that is challenging for me to place you in a leadership role when I hear that from our female county staff. When I reach out to leadership in your committees and say, should Laura continue representing the county here at your organization, and I don't hear anything from them, that speaks volumes because they have represented their organizations for a long time. So, for me, I have a strong female in my household, a couple of them, but one is my 17-year-old daughter. I support strong females with opinions. And I'm endorsing a strong female, Priscilla Ron, for county commissioner. She's got strong opinions and thoughts, but she's professional and courteous and collaborative and willing to work together, not burn the bridges that she's sitting on. So I think a lot of people in our community are looking forward to a county that works well together. I certainly am. But again, I really appreciate all of you for being here. I'm not afraid or intimidated by the conversation. Maybe I'm not your guy. That's okay. But I'm happy to listen to you. I'm always accessible. I want to be available to you with any concerns that you have. Citizen comment is closed, sir, but I appreciate it. But again, thank you so much. It's the middle of the day on a Tuesday, so I know you've probably taken off time from work and family endeavors to be here, so we do appreciate that. So with that, we'll move on to other business. Is there any other business today?
I would like to just add a couple of rebuttal comments to what you said. You said that we had only changed citizen comment because there was an IDD individual who had been startled. Is that an offer to move citizen comment to the beginning of meetings again?
No, I think subjecting members of our community to a theater of self-involved tirades on behalf of you is really negative. So there are members of our business community and citizens that do not want to sit through all of this to talk about veterans affairs and public safety and fire. They are tired of this and they don't want to sit through it, especially young people that have a developmental disability. So no, I'm not interested in doing that.
Okay, you also said that you had sent an email out to all the boards and commissions that I sat on to see if they wanted me to stay. Actually, what you and Teal did was send out a letter that explained that I had been censured, and there was a lot of documentation to that, and that you were removing me from those boards because I had been censured. I heard from many of those people asking me what the heck was going on, but they told me they were not going to get involved in this fight between the commissioners because they had to work with all of you. So for you to say just because no one responded means that no one likes you isn't a situation, an equation that makes any sense. And in fact, there are several emails that I received when you and George took me off Chatfield Watershed Authority of people telling me how much they appreciated my leadership and how sorry they were going to see me go. And I can provide those to the newspaper who was here. I don't know if they're still here, but those emails do exist. Finally, you continually make allegations that community staff complain about me. I have asked the county manager what you are talking about. I'm not going to put him on the spot here, but again, there is no evidence of anything of what you are saying. And the women in this department who talk to me apparently are telling you one thing and telling me differently, because what they tell me about you is very different from what you say they are telling you about me.
Well, I'll just ask our county manager, any dispute with anything that I've said in terms of what you're hearing? And I don't want to throw staff under the bus, but I'm very confident about what I've heard from them.
I don't think you've shared with me the specifics, so.
Okay. Anything that you've heard from county staff that would give you pause?
Over 4.5 years, I hear a lot. Yeah, I would rather not get into all this now. There's 4.5 years of history.
Well, I don't blame you, sir. I don't. And if there are emails from any of your committees supporting you continuing, I would love to see those, because it was an additional email that we sent to the leadership of those boards, and they were silent on having you continue. So if you do have emails, please provide those.
And I'm unaware of that email that you sent out behind my back.
Well, you got removed from boards, and we asked people to provide some support of you, and they did not. So if you have that, I'm happy to look at that. We'll move it over to the county manager. Any comments from the county manager? Okay. So with that, ma'am, citizen comment is closed. The next business meeting will be held on Tuesday, December 12th, 2023 at 1:30 p.m. We are adjourned, and we will go into our land use meeting shortly. Thank you.